Part 94. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi-Sing Cao. Chapter 933. 931. The two talked softly and the atmosphere was very good. Chi Jianmin said softly, "See you tomorrow then." "See you tomorrow." Tang Qian turned and left, leaving the hotel door. The calmness on his face disappeared. Instead, he turned to look behind him and vaguely saw a familiar figure in the hall watching him leave. Tang Qian smiled. All this time, he was not the only one performing the show. Chi Jianmin also had him in his heart. This realization made Tang Qian ecstatic. However, when he thought of the ridiculous things in the past and He Tianation's bad impression of him, he was a little frustrated. After driving home, Mr. Tang and Ms. Tang did not rest. Instead, they talked in the living room, as if waiting for Tang Qian. Tang Qian came back humming a song. It means he is in a very happy mood. "Good night, Mom and Dad." Tang Qian smiled, turning the car keys in his hand and preparing to go upstairs. The old couple looked at each other, and finally Mr. Tang said, "Xiaoxi, come here. You have been busy before, and we, father and son, have no time to talk. You came home very early today, let's talk." "Quite early?" Tang Qian was surprised and looked at his watch. It was already 9:30. The reason why his parents didn't sleep was because they had something to tell him. Tang Qian smiled and said, "Okay, I also want to talk to my father and mother." Haha, what a disloyal thing to say. However, the old couple did not expose Tang Qian's lies. "How is your business lately?" Mr. Tang asked, asking step by step from the side. Tang Qian smiled and said, "Business is very good. It is expected to sell 10,000 cars this year. It is the dealership with the most sales of Fuxi automobile. The profit is also good. Dad, Mom, don't worry that I have no money to spend." "That's good." Mr. Tang nodded and said, "You are more proficient in business matters, so just go ahead and do it. By the way, when your business is done, you don't have to forget your eldest brother, second brother, and third sister." "That's natural." Tang Qian said, "By the end of the year, I plan to give them 10,000 yuan per family, so that they can have more money." "Well, okay, brothers should help each other." Mr. Tang said, "After all, they gave up a lot to help you before." Tang Qian always remembered his brother and sister's thoughts and said with a smile, "Mom and Dad, I know it and I will never forget it." Ahem. Ms. Tang coughed twice. The old man talked for a long time, but he couldn't get to the point. He was really anxious. Mr. Tang smiled and realized that he was somewhat off topic. "I see that you are in a good mood recently. Have you been making friends outside?" Mr. Tang asked. "Actually, we don't want to interfere with your freedom, but you have also seen that children around your age are all spoiled. If nothing else, Huo Yingjia is a little older than you. He has 3 children. Hey, now that family planning is implemented, I can only have 1 child." Ms. Tang lamented. "There are only 2 or 3 other sons and daughters in the family. From now on, the 4th child can only have 1 child, so the population is a bit thin." Tang Qian smiled and said with a careless smile, "Don't be afraid, we can have several children in the future. Xiaoxi, family planning is no joke. If you go against the trend and commit a crime, you probably won't be able to make enough money to pay the fine." Mr. Tang said, "It's better to be careful." Ms. Tang glared at Mr. Tang. The focus of the discussion now is not how much the fine for family planning is, but who can have multiple children. It's too urgent to count on the old man. Ms. Tang smiled and asked, "Xiaosi, do you think you have a girl you like? When will you bring it home for us to see? Let's just take a look and don't interfere with your feelings. As long as the girl just be clean." After a failed marriage, the old couple was frightened. Seeing his parents like this, Tang Qian also felt that he had been too bad in the past, making his parents so worried and cautious. "Dad, Mom, to tell you the truth, I have a girl I like," Tang Qian said with a smile. "You have met that person too?" Upon hearing this, the eyes of the old couple lit up. "If you have seen it, it proves that the girl's family background should be good." "Have you seen her before?" Mrs. Tang asked. "When have you seen her? Please tell me carefully. We are old and can't remember which girl she is." Tang Qian was a little hesitant, but in the face of his parents' earnest looks, he finally decided to tell them, "Dad, Mom, it's Qi Jianmin. He accidentally hit me with a car at the beginning of this year. We've known each other since then. But now it's just that I have a crush on her, but I haven't confessed it yet." "Qi Jianmin?" The old couple was stunned, and then they couldn't help but smile on their wrinkled faces, and said, "That girl is not bad, good looking, and has a good family background. She is also very polite and well educated. She is a very good girl. But it's all big, it's been half a year, why haven't you taken it yet?" "What are you talking about?" Mrs. Tang patted the old man's arm. "Young people naturally have their own way of doing things. Xiaoxi has become less of a bastard since he broke the peach blossom evil. What's more, it's a good thing. Of course you have to grind a lot, don't scare other girls." "That's right," Mr. Tang said with a smile, "don't be anxious, good things will take their time." Tang Qian looked a little embarrassed, but he had already said it and decided to make it clear to prevent his parents from guessing. "Dad, Mom, I am a person with a criminal record. I was such a jerk before. Although I have corrected myself now, it still leaves a bad impression on others. She is a good girl. I hope to pursue her with my heart and impress her with sincerity." Her Tang Qian said. Fortunately, he felt that Qi Jianmin had feelings for him, so the day when they were happy was not far away. Upon hearing this, the old couple sighed again and again. "If I had known you had a peach blossom evil spirit, I would have found someone to break it for you earlier. I wouldn't have tortured you for so many years and hurt people and your body," Mr. Tang said. "Fortunately, I made a mistake once. You are still young and you can start over. Opportunity. Don't be discouraged." "Well, yes," Mrs. Tang said, "exchange sincerity for sincerity. If that girl likes you, she will accept your past. However, you must also promise not to do ridiculous things in the future. Qi Jianmin is not a domestic. The girl may tolerate your affair because she likes you, or for marriage or children. That girl has a good idea at first sight. If you don't live well with her, she will divorce you. After all, this is the concept of marriage in foreign countries." "Yeah, I know." Tang Qian nodded. He now knew Qi Jianmin very well. She is a thoughtful and independent woman. If she can't get the other person's affection, she will give up the affection. Don't bother. Then you will find your own happiness again. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 934. 932. After chatting with his parents, Tang Qian returned to his room, took out a photo of Qi Jianmin, and looked at it secretly by himself. Such a move has never happened before. Qi Jianmin is so beautiful. So kind and elegant. It was a photo taken by employees during an event. He was standing next to Qi Jianmin, one handsome and the other as beautiful as a flower. No matter how you look at it, they are a perfect match. A photo of Qi Jianmin and him was placed on the table before falling asleep. In his dream, he dreamed of Qi Jianmin. They traveled together and tasted delicious food together. The next day, Tang Qian was in a good mood all day and couldn't wait to have dinner together in the evening. Tang Qian drove to pick up Qi Jianmin. Because of the date, Qi Jianmin dressed up carefully and became even more attractive, which made Tang Qian look straight at her. She was more beautiful in real life than he imagined or in the photos. "Can you leave?" Tang Qian came back to his senses and asked softly, with a gentle smile on his face. Chi Jinmin got into the car and said, "That's okay. I heard that they will take me to eat delicious food. I can't wait. This is a private kitchen. Once you hear it, you can cook it for several tables," Tang Qian said with a smile, "but it tastes really good. You will definitely like it." "Is it Tan's food?" Chi Jinmin asked. He seemed to have taken her and her brother to eat there before. "No, this time, it's Song family cuisine," Tang Qian said. "I guarantee that you can't eat the food inside." "Okay," Chi Jinmin smiled, his big eyes narrowed into small crescents. "Drive well." "Oh," Tang Qian, who was in a daze, quickly calmed down. Tang Qian felt a little excited in his heart, just like when he was 17 or 18 years old. His heart beat faster when he saw a good-looking girl. He was extremely sure of his feelings. He really liked and fell in love with this girl. The two of them talked about some business matters on the way, and unknowingly came to the place where Songjia Cai was. As soon as the two entered the door, they heard a familiar voice from behind. "Jinmin," He Tian was stunned. It was rare for him and Huo Yingjia to come to the world of two, and they met Chi Jinmin and Tang Qian. One look at Tang Qian's expression as he wore a weasel's outfit and gave New Year's greetings to a rooster, and you could tell what he was thinking about. "Sister Tian, are you coming to eat too?" Chi Jinmin asked. Tang Qian said, "The food here is delicious, I'm looking forward to it." "It's our first time here, but we came because of the reputation." "It should be delicious," He Tian said. She wanted to invite the two of them to eat together, but thinking about Chi Jinmin's words yesterday, she couldn't interfere with Chi Jinmin too much. "Feelings. That's great, Sister Tian, should we share a table?" Chi Jinmin said. "If possible, can we order a few more dishes?" He Tian glanced at Tang Qian and said, "Mr. Tang, do you mind?" "I don't mind, why would I mind?" Tang Qian said with a smile. It was too late to flatter him. "Yingjia, let's go in and drink some of their home-brewed wine." Huo Yingjia felt depressed. The couple hadn't gone out on a date for a long time. Today, they finally managed to coax someone out, but two light bulbs actually destroyed them. "If I had known I would meet someone I knew, I wouldn't have eaten here." Now that they all said so, Huo Yingjia couldn't refuse. The four people talked to the person in charge and changed into a box for four people. He Tian and Chi Jinmin ordered, and then Huo Yingjia and Tang Qian ordered. This time I ordered a lot of dishes, enough to satisfy my appetite. During the dinner, Tang Qian adjusted his mentality, neither humble nor overbearing, to entertain them. This meal he invited, hey, he was pursuing Chi Jinmin, so he had to coax He Tian well. After all, Chi Jinmin's only relative in Yanjing is He Tian. Furthermore, He Tian knew about his criminal record and excluded business cooperation. She did not appreciate him. Tang Qian was self-aware of this. However, nothing is difficult in the world, as long as a person is determined, he will work hard. After 3 drinks and 5 dishes, Tang Qian took the opportunity to go to the bathroom and pay. "How does it taste?" He Tian asked. "Do you like it?" Chi Jinmin nodded while eating, swallowed the food in his mouth, and said, "Oh my God, I can only come here to eat such delicious food once a month, otherwise, I will definitely become a big fat man." "Haha, if you exercise more, you can eat more," He Tian smiled. She also gained a lot of weight, but she had no ability to resist in front of delicious food. Only when you are full can you have the energy to lose weight. "When I think about the food I ate abroad, my God, it's incomparable," Chi Jinmin said with emotion. "I can't bear to leave China. There are so many delicious things." Tang Qian came in from outside and said with a smile, "If you don't want to leave, don't leave." The implication of these words is very obvious. "I won't leave for these delicacies," Chi Jinmin said with a smile. "You guys should eat too, but I'm the only one eating it. I'm a little embarrassed." He Tian gave Huo Yingzhi some food and asked him to eat more. Jinmin, are you going back to Kijia village during the new year? He Tian asked. Yes, my grandma is there, so my brother and I will naturally go back. Chi Jinmin smiled and said, Sister Tian, what can I do for you? No, I'll just ask. He Tian smiled and said, I made a pair of cloth shoes for grandma 2 days ago. I want to send them to grandma. Do you want anything to send? Send them together. Okay, Chi Jinmin said, I have also prepared some things. I am planning to mail them tomorrow morning and take the train back to Nanji in the afternoon. Let's meet tomorrow and mail the things together. He Tian smiled and kept talking to Chi Jinmin, not letting Tang Qian and Chi Jinmin talk. Tang Qian also knew that he would never say to Chi Jinmin what he wanted to say when he met Huo Yingzhi and He Tian. So, he took Huo Yingzhi to drink. In the end, Tang Qian wanted to get Huo Yingzhi drunk, but he didn't expect that he drank too much and his face was slightly red. After dinner, He Tian went to pay the bill and said that Tang Qian had already paid. He Tian smiled and knew that Tang Qian would pay the bill. In order to pursue Chi Jinmin, she also invested money. But Chi Jinmin is a golden baby. If you take her home, you can make money. You can get both money and people. Tang Qian drank, and Huo Yingzhi asked Xie to drive Tang Qian home. He Tian drove Chi Jinmin back to the hotel and then went home. Unexpectedly, Tang Qian drank and said to Xie, go to your leader's house. I have something to tell Huo Yingzhi. Xie was a little surprised, but Tang Qian asked him to do so, so he turned the car around and went home. When Huo Yingzhi and He Tian got home, they saw Tang Qian talking and laughing with Huo Ruhua and Huo Ruimin, as if Tang Qian was telling the story of Journey to the West again. The couple was a little surprised. They clearly asked Xie to take Tang Qian home. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 935. 933. Seeing the leader looking at him, Xie explained, I sent forth young Master Tang home, but he asked to come over here, saying he had something to come to you for. He Tian frowned and asked, what can happen to him? Haha, it's very simple. If he wants to pursue Chi Jinmin, he must pass your test. Huo Yingzhi smiled. Tang Qian also spent enough money in order to win the beauty back. He Tian looked at Tang Qian, who was having a good time with his children, and said with emotion, those criminal records aside, Tang Qian is actually a good person. Brother Yingzhi, what do you think? Although Huo Yingzhi knew that He Tian was examining Tang Qian because of Chi Jinmin, he was unhappy and said, your man is by your side. Please don't pay too much attention to other men. What? I'm so jealous. He Tian covered her mouth and laughed, they like Jinmin, not me. If it were you, do you think Tang Qian could come into our house? Would I let him live such a comfortable life? Huo Yingzhi asked with squinted eyes, with an arrogance on his handsome face. He Tian thought for a moment and said, maybe I shouldn't stop him. Okay, they are all adults, and the love between men and women cannot be stopped by you. Huo Yingzhi said, as a sister, you have said everything you should and shouldn't say. And then take it from it. Obstruction is annoying. Okay, He Tian sighed, you can't stay in college if you are a female college student. If you stay here, you will become enemies. This is my sister now. If our daughter is our daughter's friend in the future, how worried will you be? Huo Yingzhi teased, feeling that He Tian was making a fuss. Everyone in the world has his or her own fate. He Tian glared at Huo Yingzhi and said, don't talk sarcastically here. I've never heard of a mother-in-law looking at her son-in-law. The more satisfied she is when she looks at her son-in-law from a distance. But you, Your little cotton-padded jacket was snatched away. As a father, you still don't be impatient. Originally I wanted to smile at He Tian Tian, but thinking about it carefully, Huo Yingzhe was a little disappointed now. Hey, I don't want to worry about that anymore. Just let the two of us be good. Huo Yingzhe directly chose to escape. Anyway, his daughter was still young and there was no need to think about these things for the time being. Tang Jian felt a little excited when he saw Huo Yingzhe and He Tian Tian coming. I'm sober now and my mind is clear. Yingzhe, can you step aside for a moment? I want to talk to my niece-in-law, Tang Jian said. The fewer people who hear these words, the better. Huo Yingzhe smiled, sat on the edge, read the newspaper, and said with a smile, you can just pretend that I don't exist. You are really telling lies. How can such a big person pretend that he does not exist? I tell Yingzhe everything. You don't have to avoid him if you have something to say, He Tian Tian said. She also wanted to hear what Tang Qian had to say. When Tang Qian saw this, he thought that he had done such embarrassing things in the past, but this time he did something serious. Even if it was embarrassing, it didn't matter. Actually, I want to ask you to allow me to date Zhenmin, Tang Qian said. I am dating for the purpose of marriage, not for random reasons. He Tian Tian listened and looked at Tang Qian's serious expression, and she also became serious. Tang Qian, you and Zhenmin are both adults and have the freedom to love. I really shouldn't interfere too much, He Tian Tian said, but you know your past, maybe you should understand my feelings. I understand. If I were in your position, I would also obstruct it, Tang Qian said. What He Tian Tian said was the truth, and he admitted it. Well, since you are so honest, I will make it clear to you, He Tian Tian said seriously. I can't care who you pursue, and I don't want to care who Zhenmin likes, but I will only keep it in mind. If you hurt my sister, I will hold a grudge in my heart for the rest of my life, and I will take revenge. Tang Qian was stunned. He didn't expect He Tian Tian to be so direct. If he hurt He Tian Tian, he would be He Tianation's enemy. I won't hurt Zhenmin, Tang Qian argued, hoping to gain He Tianation's trust. He Tian Tian squinted her eyes, looked directly at Tang Qian, and said, I never listen to what others say, I only watch what others do. You all have your own freedom, and I also have my own free choice. In order to protect my family, I can do something. After hearing this, Tang Qian smiled and said, I made a note of it and will use actions to fulfill my promise in the future. Although He Tianation's words didn't sound good, Tang Qian also heard some relief and concession. Will not stop him from pursuing Qi Zhenmin. Since he will not let Qi Zhenmin down, he is not afraid of He Tianation's threat. He Tian Tian smiled and said, we'll see. Then we'll see, Tang Qian smiled. Okay, it's getting late, I should say goodbye. Huo Yingzhe stood up and said, Tian Tian, you play with the child, and I'll see Tang Qian off. Arrived outside the second door. Tang Qian finally couldn't help but asked, Yingzhe, He Tian Tian is so powerful, can you control him? Huo Yingzhe looked at Tang Qian with a stupid expression and said with a smile, Tian Tian is amazing, which proves that I am capable. My wife is not for management, but for pain. If you want to be harmonious and beautiful in the future, don't bring the dandy behavior of Yanjing's villain into your marriage. Huo Yingzhe's words left Tang Qian speechless and choked. Tang Qian finally understood why He Tian Tian was so confident. Who does a woman like this have to be afraid of when she has a pampering husband who puts his wife first? Huo Yingzhe, thank you, Tang Qian said with a smile, but seeing Huo Yingzhe so happy, maybe he should take note of Huo Yingzhe's words and learn from some of Huo Yingzhe's actions. Huo Yingzhe raised his eyebrows and asked, why do you want to thank me? It's inexplicable. Because you reminded me about the peach blossom evil last time. After I went back, I told my father and he found someone to resolve it for me, Tang Qian said. Since then, I haven't had the same feeling as before. That's good, Huo Yingzhe could tell, Chi Jinmin is a good girl. If you really like her, cherish her. When Tang Qian heard this, he became energetic and said, I will, Yingzhe, do you think highly of me and Jinmin? What happened to you before has anything to do with others. You can't see your own heart clearly, so what's the point of asking me to look at you? Huo Yingzhe said puzzledly, don't be bitten by a snake because of what happened in the past. 10 years of fear of well ropes. That's right, Tang Qian smiled, I really like Qi Jinmin and I want to marry her. Haha, if you want to marry someone else, then you have to work hard and let others see your sincerity, Huo Yingzhe said with a smile. If a man wants to get a woman, there are many ways to impress her. Hey, maybe I'm really scared, Tang Qian smiled bitterly, I'm always a little hesitant. Actually, it's very simple. Aren't you just afraid that others don't want to believe you? Huo Yingzhe asked back, having a secret idea in his mind, asking you to sow discord between our husband and wife, and I will make you bankrupt. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Xing Cao. Chapter 936. 934. Tang Qian was in the middle of the game and sometimes couldn't see the situation clearly. How to solve it? Tang Qian asked. Yingzhe, you see, I'm so old and it's hard for me to find a woman I like and spend my whole life with. Just help me. In order to win the beauty back, Tang Qian was willing to humble himself and ask Huo Yingzhe for advice. Haha, Huo Yingzhe smiled, if others don't trust you, just mortgage something you think is important to make others trust you. Just like when you go to a bank for a loan, you must have a mortgage to make the bank think you can repay the money. Capital and sincerity. Huo Yingzhe didn't say it directly, but gave examples. Tang Qian was stunned for a moment, then understood and said, thank you, Yingzhe. You don't need to thank me. I'm just talking. It's up to you how to do it, Huo Yingzhe said, the prerequisite for all this to be successful is that you must be sincere. Yes, I understand, Tang Qian nodded, no need to send it away, I will go back by myself. Haha, your car is at the Songjiake side. You can walk back, Huo Yingzhe smiled and said, Xiaowu, take Tang Qian back. That's troublesome, Tang Qian smiled, feeling happy, as if he had found a way. After Tang Qian left, Huo Yingzhe came back. What are you talking to Tang Qian outside? He Tian asked, you can't blindly give Tang Qian advice and turn your elbows outward. Huo Yingzhe hugged He Tian from behind and said softly, Tang Qian may have really changed his ways. He did ask me about Zheng Min just now, but I sternly refused and told him that everything depends on his sincerity and determination. That's pretty much it, He Tian praised, we won't stop it, but we can't help it. This description is a bit scary. However, Huo Yingzhe would never disagree with He Tian on such matters. Anyway, it has nothing to do with him, as long as my wife is happy. Yes, my dear wife, Huo Yingzhe said with a smile, hey, starting from tomorrow I will start taking on big projects. I won't be back for lunch at noon, so you don't have to wait for me. Well, okay, you have rested for a long time. It's time to work hard on your career, He Tian smiled and said, the country has spent a lot of energy on our family, and we have to serve the country. I learned from Huo Yingzhe that there were 8 people protected in their home alone. Yes, don't worry, what happened before will never happen again, Huo Yingzhe said, I now have complete control over the institute, including the cleaners, all are under my supervision. That's good, stay safe, He Tian said, don't worry about things at home. I'm not at work anymore. When I have free time, I can go to a few shops and check the account books. I can keep myself busy. Well, I'll be relieved then, Huo Yingzhe said with a smile, with my wife here, I won't have anything to worry about. We are husband and wife, so naturally we should support and take care of each other, He Tian said with a smile, okay, hurry up and wash up and go to rest. I'm sleepy. Huo Yingji drank some wine today, and when he came back from the shower, he felt sticky again, and acted arrogantly, asking for sweets. Faced with Huo Yingji like this, he Tian, who was overflowing with maternal love, was always reluctant to wrong Huo Yingji, so she gave it to him half-heartedly. While pleasing Huo Yingji, she also got the ultimate happiness. After that, their families started their own busy lives. However, Huo Yingji tries not to work overtime and goes home as early as possible every day, so he Tian thinks this is good. Occasionally when I have to work overtime again, I will tell he Tian in advance so that he Tian can be mentally prepared. As a housewife, he Tian also lives a fulfilling life. The child is very sensible and does not cry much. He only cries when he is hungry, peed or has a bowel movement. As for Huo Ruwa and Huo Ruimin, they usually go to school and play by themselves when they get home, so they don't bother he Tian. It's late winter in a blink of an eye, it's gloomy outside, the cold wind is howling, and heavy snow is coming. He Tian asked Lu Wangzia to prepare a pot for lunch to keep warm. At this time, Aunt Guo came in and said, Tian, there is a girl named Yuan Hu outside, and she says she is your girl. He Tian was stunned and said hurriedly, quick, I have a student named Yuan Hua, please let her in. He Tian didn't dare to go out rashly. It was too cold outside. She had just drank a bowl of hot water and was sweating a little. Aunt Guo brought Yuan Hua in and happened to see He Tian standing inside the door. Teacher He, I miss you so much. Yuan Hua smiled and came over to hug He Tian. I miss you too. He Tian smiled, by the way, are you on winter vacation? Yuan Hua smiled and said, it's already vacation. I have something to come to Yanjing, so I'll come to visit you as soon as I get off the train. Then where do you live? He Tian asked, where are you saluting? Yuan Hua smiled and said, the salute is outside. I brought you the hibiscus cake from Xinggualu. Thank you. He Tian smiled and said, I like it very much. By the way, since you brought it as a gift, you will stay at my house first. By the way, besides visiting me, do you have anything else to do in Yanjing? I'm here for an internship. Yuan Hua said with a smile, she finally got this spot. Internship, He Tian was stunned, what unit are you interning in? Yuan Hua nodded and said, I have now got the opportunity to work for the Chinese Poetry Association. The headquarters is in Yanjing, so I came here. There are dormitories provided there. Teacher, I won't bother you. Just send me to the dormitory. Good. In that case, I won't force you to stay. I'll take you there after lunch. I'm taking care of the kids at home now, and I'm not working. You can come anytime. If you encounter any difficulties, you can tell me. I can help in Yanjing City. Even if I can't help, I can ask someone to help. He Tian really likes this smart girl, Yun Hua. So far, 4 poetry collections and a youth novel have been published. Thank you, teacher. He Yun Hua smiled, I have someone to rely on in Yanjing City. After meeting teacher He. Well, it's a good idea for you. He Tian smiled, by the way, how are the others besides you? Many people were assigned to the local cultural department for internship, some stayed in Nanji, and some. What else? He Tian saw that Yun Hua didn't say anything, and was a little curious, by the way, what about Tang Pingan? He is considered to be the most successful in the class. I don't know what choice he will make. Tang Pingan went to Hong Kong. Yun Hua said softly, a little bitter. Going to Hong Kong, He Tian was stunned. Why is he going there? First, he is going to take the postgraduate entrance exam for Hong Kong University, and second, he is going to meet and sign his new book. Ms. Ye invited him there. Yuan Hua said, and Tang Pingan also wants to go. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 937. 935. So that's how it is. He Tian listened and nodded, saying, oh, he is very talented, maybe he can have greater development in Hong Kong. Ms. Ye said the same thing Yunhua said, with a disappointed tone. Ms. Ye wanted to invite me to study in Hong Kong, but I didn't go. Why? He Tian asked. You are also very talented, many of your poems have been composed and become very popular and beautiful songs, maybe there will be greater development prospects in the future. I know there will be great prospects, but because of Tang Pingan, I can't go, Yunhua said, with a disappointed expression and sad eyes. What's wrong? He Tian asked cautiously, did something happen after she left that she didn't know about? Yunhua smiled bitterly and said, Teacher, I like Tang Pingan, but he doesn't like me. I said I could wait for him, but he said he would only like one woman in his life, so he didn't want to delay me. Ah, he Tian was stunned. However, if Tang Pingan really has no feelings for you, telling you this is also a kind of protection. Without the beginning, there might not be any hurt, and you might still be good classmates. Yes, Yunhua smiled bitterly. Tang Pingan thought so, and so did I, so I didn't go to Hong Kong. Because I know that if I go, my eyes will definitely be on him, and I won't see the advantages of other men, so I decided to go north, see more scenery, meet more people, and be open-minded. Maybe I will gradually accept other men. Oh my, it's incredible. This Yunhua is so open-minded at such a young age, she is worthy of being a talented woman from Nanyang University. You are all kind people. If you don't want to hurt each other, then try another life and find different excitement. He Tian smiled. They are all her students, so she can only say some comforting words. Yes, yes, Yunhua smiled, I've thought it through. By the way, Mr. He, if nothing unexpected happens, I will stay in Yanjing in the future. Do you think I should buy a house? If you have money, you can buy it. He Tian asked, you won't lose money if you buy it. I bought it 2 years ago, and it has more than doubled now. Yunhua was also stunned when he heard it, and asked, Mr. He, I sold the copyrights of some songs and have 160,000 in my hand. Is it enough to buy it? Not bad, He Tian smiled, I should be able to buy a large courtyard. If you really want to buy it, I'll ask someone to keep an eye on it for you. Listen to the teacher, I promise you won't lose money. Yunhua smiled. He smiled and said, okay, my mother passed away last year, and there is only an old father at home. I want to settle this place and bring my father over. Okay, the teacher will help you with this matter. He Tian said, you can also find the truth, goodness, and beauty in life and write better poems while you are busy with work. Well, thank you, teacher. He Yunhua smiled, poetry is one aspect, and I am also starting to learn writing and write some love stories. Okay, when the time comes, I will be the first reader. He Tian smiled. Yunhua is good at writing poetry, but his writing skills are not bad either. He has also published some short stories and essays. Teacher, he is the beacon for my progress and the lighthouse for my return. Yunhua smiled, I really have to thank you, teacher. He. Not only myself, but also the classmates in our class are very grateful to you. Because of your encouragement, the classmates in our class have published essays, poems, and novels. Now our class is a famous genius class in the school. Haha, you are too kind, it is your hard work and talent. He Tian said modestly, not daring to bow. There are many hard-working and talented people, but there are not many good teachers, and even fewer teachers who can guide students to develop their talents. Yunhua said with a smile, teacher. You are such a teacher, and you have always been the best teacher in our hearts. Haha, He Tian laughed, I feel a little embarrassed by what you said, after all, I am not that good. Yes, Yunhua said. Okay, let's not compliment each other. Come, have tea and snacks. He Tian smiled, Lu Wangzia made hot tea, and He Tian poured a cup of tea for Yunhua. Yunhua drank the tea and ate some snacks. Continued to talk about school matters, no longer sad before, but became the cheerful and generous monitor Yunhua again. At noon, the family ate hot pot, very warm. He Tian handed the child to Grandma Wang to look after, and drove Yunhua to the dormitory. The dormitory is good, it is a single dormitory, one bedroom, one living room, one kitchen, and one bathroom. Although it is small, it has everything, enough for Yunhua to live alone. He Tianatian's bodyguard Wei Yuan and He Tian helped clean up, then packed up the bedding and bowed. The dormitory is good. He Tian smiled, it's not far from your workplace. I guess you can't report today. Go tomorrow. Yes, I can't report today. Yunhua smiled, I saw a vegetable market nearby, I'll go buy vegetables first, and I'll cook in the evening and treat teacher He to dinner. He Tian smiled and said, no, it's getting late, I should go back. I'll come to see you when I'm free. Seeing teacher He say this, Yunhua didn't force him. In that case, I won't try to keep teacher He. Yunhua smiled and said, I'll invite teacher He when he's free. Okay. He Tian smiled, by the way, when I go back, I will pick it up from a friend. If you are sure, I will buy a house for you. Well, sure, please trouble teacher He. Yunhua said with a smile. With teacher He, she had someone to rely on. It feels so good. On the way back, He Tian passed by where Lao Lian worked and asked him to help organize the house. Because every time he helps He Tian buy a house, or helps He Tianatian's friends buy a house, Lao Lian gets a lot of benefits, so Lao Lian is very willing to help. I agreed on the spot and guaranteed to find a house in the shortest possible time. By the time He Tian got home, it was already past 6 o'clock. It warmed up for a while before going in to hold the child. When I got to the house, I saw Huo Yingzhe making milk powder for the child to feed. He Tian came and said with a smile, give it to me. I didn't nurse for an afternoon and my bloating was uncomfortable. I took a towel and dipped it in warm water to wash it before letting the baby nurse. I heard your student is here, Huo Yingzhe asked, which one is it? Yunhua is the class I taught when I was the class teacher in Nanxi. He Tian explained, in a blink of an eye, they started internships and will graduate next year. Oh, Huo Yingzhe smiled, it turned out to be that year. I put in my feelings, so I attach great importance to it. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 938. 936. Because of Yunhua's arrival, He Tian accepted Yunhua to Qi Xiaoyan, Zhang Wenwen, and Wang Ying, making Yunhua have friends in Yanjing. Normally, I would often come here to have a meal. Usually gatherings are held at He Tianatian's home. Yunhua quickly integrated into Yanjing's life and work, and established his own circle. Yunhua also bought a house for 150,000 yuan. It is a courtyard with 1.5 steps in the front that you can live in. There are 5 main rooms, 4 on the east and west sides, and the yard is quite large. The backyard is only as big as the front yard and can be converted into a garage, etc. Buying a house like this at this price is a great value. Yunhua was very satisfied and went to the house happily. I won't live there for the time being. When the renovations are completed next year and everything is tidied up, I will take my father over. In this way, you can take care of your father nearby and don't need to worry about your father back home. It's the 12th lunar month of winter, and the new year is almost here. He Tian received several signed books, which turned out to be sent by Tang Pingan. After that Wind and Cloud, Tang Pingan published 2 more books, totaling 6 volumes. I learned from Xie Weining that Tang Pingan was relatively well known in Xiangjiang, and his royalties were much higher than before. He Tian was happy for Tang Pingan. After receiving the signed letter, he wrote a letter to Tang Pingan, encouraging him to continue his efforts and reach higher levels in the future. At the same time, I also reminded him that there is a lot of entertainment and temptations in Xiangjiang, and I also hope that he can keep himself clean and not get involved in those bad habits. He Tian is a teacher, so it is normal to remind Tang Pingan like this. Tang Pingan and Yuanhua were the most proud students taught by He Tian that year. She hoped that the students would do well. Yuanhua came to He Tian's house to play and saw the new book that Tang Pingan received. "Teacher He, can you lend me these books?" Yuanhua asked. Although he had let go, he still wanted to know what this person wrote. He Tian smiled and said, "Okay, I'm reading The Young Emperor, you can go back and read another book. When you finish reading, we will change it." "Okay," Yuanhua agreed and took away the other 3 copies of Wandering Dragon and Shocking Phoenix. "By the way, didn't you say you wanted to show me the novel you wrote?" He Tian asked. "Have you brought it?" Since He Tian doesn't have to go out to work, He Tian has relatively more free time, so she just wants to read. He Tian couldn't stand those heavy books, so she liked to read some novels. She likes romance novels and martial arts novels. Yuanhua smiled, took out a piece of manuscript paper from his bag, and said, "Teacher, what is here is only 90,000 words in total. It is a love story from the end of the Cultural Revolution to the present." "Well, that's right. I like reading love stories," He Tian said, "just let it go for now. After reading it, I'll tell you." "Okay," Yuanhua smiled, "if teacher He says it's good, then I will start submitting the manuscript." In the evening, after He Tian finished her work, she began to read Yuanhua's manuscript. It tells the story of a female educated youth. There is a little political background in it, but in order not to be harmonious, I describe it lightly and don't write much. The focus is on the story between the female educated youth and another male educated youth. 2 educated youths met in a foreign country, fell in love, and got married. However, the news of the college entrance examination gave everyone hope of returning to the city. It was just that the woman was pregnant and had to work, so the man started studying and went to college. It was originally thought that a man could take his wife back to the city after he was admitted to college. However, after the man arrived at school, he fell in love with a younger and more beautiful woman from a good family background. The woman went to find him, but she didn't expect to get such a result. She wanted to save her marriage and used various methods, but she failed to win back her husband's heart and went back with her children. But the woman couldn't think about it and finally committed suicide. The previous part is very well written, describing the helplessness of that period and also the woman's infatuation. But this is too infatuated. He actually committed suicide for a man who has changed his heart. It is so unworthy. After reading this novel, He Tian fell into deep thought. This novel probably wanted to accuse that era of the test of human nature and satirize the love of that era, which became worthless in the face of interests. This is a good point. But this woman was very strong at first, but later became desperate, giving people a feeling of decadence. At the same time, He Tian also thought of herself in the previous life. But He Tian's weakness does not match the era in which he lives, and it does not match the time in the novel. That was from the end of the Cultural Revolution to the beginning of reform and opening up, which is now, the early 1980s. Reform and opening up reform not only the economy, but also people's thinking and actions. This novel only describes the decadent side and not the positive side, so it cannot be said to be a good novel. At the very least, from He Tian's point of view, she didn't like this novel. Especially after the reform and opening up, if a woman has strengthened herself, why should she be afraid of being abandoned by a man, ruthlessly? Huo Yingzhi saw He Tian frowning and asked, "What are you looking at that makes you feel so depressed?" "Reading this novel reminded me of my past life. If I had been stronger, we would not have reached that point. He Tian smiled bitterly. Humans, you have to rely on yourself at all times. Huo Yingzhe was surprised and said guiltily, I was also wrong, I made you feel wronged. Haha, yes, we were all too weak and idealistic at that time, so we have regrets. In this life, we are fearless and we move forward bravely, so we can be together, He Tian said, hugging Huo Yingzhe sideways. Huo Yingzhe smiled and said, okay, let the past pass. If you keep thinking about it, you will be sad. Whether it is you or me, the past life was a tragedy. Okay, let's not talk anymore, He Tian smiled, but for this novel, I have to ask you and Hua to change the ending. I can't write it like this. It should be positive, encourage women to be self-reliant, and the heroine should not commit suicide easily. Okay, let's take a rest, Huo Yingzhe said, helping to put away the manuscript paper. Huo Yingzhe and He Tian talked in small words, without passion, only a touch of happiness, understanding each other's inner thoughts. Now that the children are older, and Huo Yingzhe is very busy at work, they don't have time to talk properly during the day. He could only wait for night, lying in Huo Yingzhe's arms, feeling extremely happy. A few days later, Yuan Hua came over. He Tian told her about the novel. Yuan Hua, what do you want to express and promote in this novel? He Tian asked. Only by naming this can the plot and direction of the novel be determined. Yuan Hua thought for a while and said, I want to express the test of love and the criticism of human nature in that era. The sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Xing Cao. Chapter 939. 937. After listening to this, He Tian decided to give her own suggestions. As for whether Yunhua would accept it, that was Yunhua's own business. After all, Yunhua was the author of the book, not her. Yunhua, the era you wrote about was around 1977. You are not an experienced person. You don't know that as educated youth, 1977 was a year full of hope for us, whether we passed the exam or not, He Tian said. At that time, everyone worked during the day and studied at night, and we were full of fighting spirit. I also know that many people did not pass the exam, but we cannot deny that society was progressive at that time. After the economic reform in 1977 and 1978, it was not only the economy that was reformed, but also people's thoughts. Some people who dared to think and act were already ahead of the rich. It can be said that your time background is positive. The characters you wrote are to criticize the human nature of that era. Your intention is good, but I think your characterization does not bring positive influence to people, but reveals that people are powerless in the face of the times. Even after struggling hard, they will fail in the end. A good person can only commit suicide with his children. Don't you think this is too decadent? Yunhua was stunned and pondered over what teacher he said. There are some disappointments in life, but there are also some truth, goodness, and beauty. Her novels are indeed somewhat inconsistent with the background of the times. She only thought of criticism, but not hope. Teacher, you are right, my novels are inconsistent with the background of the times, Yunhua said. Then how should I change my novels? He Tian thought a lot. She hopes that many people can be strong, instead of being weak and unwilling to change. In fact, you want to satirize and criticize that era through a woman, but at the same time, this is an era full of hope. The man Chen Shimei abandoned his wife, which has played a critical role. However, the portrayal of the heroine, using tragedy to deepen the critical role, cannot really play the desired role, so I suggest that you can make the heroine strong and independent. It doesn't matter if she didn't get into college, she can do a small business, the daughter is still young, although it is hard, but the mother and daughter depend on each other, which can better reflect the greatness of women. Then through hard work, the heroine has her own shop, career, and then harvested a love, and her life is prosperous. However, At this time, the man wants to turn back, but the woman is unwilling. Doesn't it reflect that no matter what kind of environment, as long as people are brave, the result may be better? Such a story is much more exciting than the old-fashioned story of Chen Shimei and Qin Xianglian, isn't it? This is He Tian's idea. Yunhua was stunned and pondered over what He Tian said. After a while, Yunhua's eyes showed excitement and he said, "Teacher He, I understand what you mean. Living better than the other person is more critical than suicide, and it can also guide women to be positive instead of accepting it." Yes, He Tian smiled, writing a novel is not about how impressive it is, but it must have its own meaning. Yeah, yes, Yunhua smiled, I am a woman of the new era, and I should write more positive novels. Maybe my mood some time ago affected my novel writing. If I'm not in a good mood, I won't write. He Tian smiled, by the way, you're about to take a New Year's holiday, when will you go home? There's not much to do in our association at the end of the year. I can go home on the 26th of the 12th lunar month. Come to work on the 10th day of the new year. If possible, I want to bring my father over. Yunhua said with a smile, I often clean the house I bought before, and I can move in after buying some furniture. Okay, your father is alone at home, and you are worried about him being outside. He Tian said with a smile, by the way, your home and Xiao Yan's home are not far away. Her parents-in-law are elderly. Your father is fine, so you can go and chat with them. Yes, Uncle Niu and Aunt Niu are good people. Yunhua said with a smile, my father is retired now and doesn't like to be at home. I also saw a small park around the house, where people play chess. My father doesn't smoke or drink, but he just likes to play chess. He will definitely like it there. Haha, that's even better. He Tian said with a smile, while the old man is in good health, spend time with your family. Yes, teacher, Yunhua said with a smile. After eating here, Yunhua hurried home to revise the manuscript. Before going back to his hometown for the holiday, Yunhua came again and left the manuscript with He Tian. He Tian saw it and it was really refreshing. A strong woman, a great mother, came to life on paper. The plot was compact and the writing was fluent. It was just that Yunhua had gone home, so she could only praise Yunhua after the Chinese New Year. She was really a talented woman. He Tian just had some ideas, but she couldn't write them if she was asked to. Think about Tang Ping'an, who was developing in Hong Kong. He was as talented as Yunhua. But Tang Ping'an didn't love Yunhua. Yunhua was a proud woman. She didn't want to be a person who lost herself for love, so she came to Yanjing. One in the south and one in the north, spanning most of China. Even though He Tian felt it was a pity, she also knew that some people were destined to be friends, not lovers. Some time ago, He Tian received a letter from Xie Weining in Hong Kong. The letter said that Tang Ping'an was more suitable for development in Hong Kong, and he had excellent grades. She had introduced Tang Ping'an to the Chinese teacher of Hong Kong University, and received the teacher's praise, which was better for his future development. Now the Xie family's magazine and publishing house are fully cultivating Tang Ping'an. He Tian was happy for Tang Ping'an and wished him greater success in Xiangjiang. He Tian replied to Xie Weining and told her that she must teach and give Tang Ping'an advice like an elder. After all, he was still young and should not lose himself in the colorful world outside. He Tian also wrote to Tang Ping'an before, but Tang Ping'an did not reply. Xie Weining is more than 10 years older than Tang Ping'an, and I believe she will give Tang Ping'an some help. It's the end of the year, and students who have taught before have written to He Tian one after another, talking about their work in the internship unit, some words of thanks, and blessings for a happy new year. Especially in the 12th lunar month, He Tian receives letters from students every day. This made Huo Yingzhi jealous. I have only been a class teacher for a year, why do I suddenly feel like I have so many students all over the world? This makes He Tiantian very proud. When He Tiantian wrote to the students again, she felt very happy. Huo Yingzhe helped He Tiantian analyze it. This was because He Tiantian was at home and had little communication with friends, so he was eager to communicate with others. He Tiantian thought about it carefully and decided to maintain these relationships. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Qi Xing Cao. Chapter 940. 938. During the Chinese New Year, He Tiantian collected specialties from Yanjing and sent them to relatives and friends in other places. Parents abroad also mail some. Huo Jekan and Zhang Lifang also returned to Yanjing in the snow and went home to celebrate the New Year and reunite their families. If nothing happens, their family can only relax and get together during the Chinese New Year. As soon as Zhang Lifang returned home, she hugged Huo Rufeng and refused to let go. Tian, why do I think Rufeng looks like me? Zhang Lifang smiled. Look at these eyes, look at this nose. He Tian smiled and said, it's good to be like my grandmother. Mom, you look good. You don't have to suffer any loss. Haha, everyone in our family is good looking, and everyone is good looking. Zhang Lifang smiled. Hey, I really can't bear to see so many grandsons and granddaughters. But your father-in-law will probably stay outside for another 5 years. Ah, He Tian was startled. Didn't you say you were going to be transferred here? That was originally the case, but now it has been decided that he will become a senior official in Jiangsu province. Zhang Lifang smiled bitterly. Hey, if this happens, I will have to be transferred back after 5 years. He Tian didn't know what to say. After all, this was her father-in-law's official career and it was hard for her to express her opinion. Mom, I don't go to work now anyway. I can take the child back to visit him during the summer vacation. When Zhang Lifang heard this, her eyes really lit up. She nodded repeatedly and said, yes, yes, how could I forget this matter? Nanji is also my hometown. You and your father-in-law are here, and we can only see each other during the Chinese New Year. The children miss their grandparents and can only write letters and make phone calls. They can't see anyone. They also miss you very much. He Tian said. She also wanted to go out for a walk. Okay, Zhang Lifang was very happy. Her husband couldn't let go, but Zhang Lifang also wanted to get along with her grandson and granddaughter. Sure enough, as Zhang Lifang said, Huo Jekan has already been decided as the next high-ranking official. This is a high-ranking official in the border area. As long as he survives 5 years safely, harvests the fruits of economic reform, and returns to the central government, he will definitely be reused. Mr. Huo was excited and beaming all night. Looking at those who are about the same age as the second son Huo Jekan, who can compare with his son? Before Li Gongru and Tang Qian got divorced, one of the important positions that the Tang family gave up was a senior city official. Mr. Huo is entitled to be proud. His son is already a high-ranking official, and his eldest son is expected to become the chief of a department in the near future. The eldest grandson, Huo Yingjun, is in the diplomatic service and will be released next year to take charge of his own business. The second grandson has become the chief engineer of the country's first-class materials research institute. Oops, everyone is positive and motivated. The younger generation below has 4 great-grandsons and 1 great-granddaughter. They are half-grown and can continue to pass on the Huo family. Before the Chinese New Year, He Tian came over with her father-in-law and mother-in-law, and then brought this year's dividends. One dividend is 268,000. He Tian directly gave an integer of 270,000. I originally wanted to call my aunt and sister-in-law's account directly, but I felt that there was no atmosphere of sharing money. But this 270,000 yuan is too much money. A stack of 110 yuan, a full stack of 270, this is still one portion. Money in each person's pocket. Song Chunli and Zhao Huan were also surprised. Tian, this year's share is quite large, Zhao Huan said with a smile. You won't give us more, right? No, business is good this year, Tian said. If possible, next time I will ask the accountant to transfer it directly to your bank book. Song Chunli smiled and said, no need, Tian, just give the money directly and I'll save it myself. I'm just afraid that with so much money, the bank will make a mistake for me. Zhang Lifang listened and said with a smile, Tian, from now on you can give the money to your aunt, and it will be more convenient for her to save it herself. Okay, Tian agreed, as long as they don't find it troublesome, Tian thinks it doesn't matter. Song Chunli and Zhao Huan carried the money upstairs, and the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law were very excited. Mrs. Huo saw them coming up and said with a smile, thanks to Tian, now they don't have to worry about running out of money at home. Grandma, don't say that, we are all family members, Tian smiled. Auntie, uncle, brother, sister-in-law, they help us a lot. I can help and do whatever I can, so that everyone can live in harmony. It's pretty good. Zhang Lifang also echoed, yes, Mom, Jekan and I will stay outside for another 5 years. Yingzhe and Tian are in Yanjing, and there are some human connections and worldly things that Tian and Yingzhe don't know. This is all because of you and Tian's sister-in-law, I will always keep this in mind. I am very grateful. Haha, your sister-in-law is indeed much better than before, Mrs. Huo said with a smile. Maybe she has thought too much because she is older. No matter what, I have to thank my sister-in-law, Zhang Lifang said with a smile. She was no longer disrespectful to her sister-in-law as before and was very respectful. As long as Song Chunli is reliable, Zhang Lifang will naturally be willing to give her this respect. Song Chunli didn't count money in the house today. She hid the money and came down to cook. Zhang Lifang and Tian wanted to help, but she kicked them out. It's almost the same as before. But this kind of Song Chunli deserves everyone's respect. Another incident happened 2 years ago. Fuxi Automobile Dealership also sent warmth to orphanages, donating a total of 1,000 cotton-padded clothes and 300 kilograms of candy to 4 orphanages. Because of this incident, he even appeared on the local TV station in Yanjing. Tianation's face twitched a little when she saw Tang Qian talking about being a conscientious entrepreneur on TV. You kid has a conscience. It was my money well spent. However, Tian was still grateful to Tang Qian in her heart. The reason why she had a different view of Tang Qian was because Tang Qian was pursuing Qi Zhenmin intensively. Seeing Qi Zhenmin's attitude towards Tang Qian softening again and again, Tian was anxious. But as I said before, I will not participate or obstruct, I can only stare from the sidelines. Okay, even if you stare a big hole in the TV, Tang Qian won't know. Huo Yingzhe saw Tian staring at the TV and knew what Tian was thinking. My wife is very mature in other aspects, but she is always particularly sensitive when it comes to relationships, especially those close to her. Now Tang Qian is most afraid of Tian. Hey, Tian sighed, I believe that Tang Qian will destroy the flower soon. Okay, we're not sure who will destroy whom, Huo Yingzhe whispered. Qi Zhenmin is no ordinary pretty girl, Tang Qian will probably have to suffer this time. Who made him make so many women cry in the past? Now he finally has a woman to treat him. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 941. 939. Huo Yingzhe's voice was not loud, and Tian didn't hear it clearly. However, Tian also believed that Qi Zhenmin was not the kind of woman who would cry and die for love, so she was not as worried as before. After all, Chi Jinmin already had a period of emotional intelligence before, and he has successfully overcome it. People always have to experience something before they can truly grow. Li Yunzong celebrated the New Year and brought his old mother over to pay New Year greetings. Li Yunzong no longer had the previous negativity, and now his business is booming and he is in high spirits. Today's home appliance supermarket sales volume is 3 times that of last year, and their profits have also increased exponentially. He received a share of more than 100,000 yuan, plus last year's income. He did not hesitate to ask He Tian to buy a yard far away from Maohutong. Now they no longer live in the staff dormitory above the home appliance supermarket, but have moved into their own home. Brother, sister-in-law, thank you. Li Yunzong thanked him. Without you, I would know what I was doing now. He Tian smiled and said, it's nothing, we are friends. You used to protect Yingzhe, I should thank you. Now you help me do things, you make money, but I also make money. We are mutually beneficial. That's my eldest brother too. My eldest sister-in-law gave me a chance, Li Yunzong said with a smile, feeling grateful to He Tian and Huo Yingzhe for the rest of his life. Aunt Li smiled and said, okay, Yunzong, don't say any more words of thanks. From now on, doing good things for your sister-in-law is to repay others' kindness. Now that you are not young, shouldn't you? Looking for someone. Mom, if you come here to pay New Year's greetings today, don't talk about this. Li Yunzong had a headache. He was urged to get married by his mother at home. When he came to his eldest brother and sister-in-law's house, he was urged to get married again. Shut up, Aunt Li glared at her son, if you can find a wife, I will help you everywhere. Li Yunzong was quite helpless. Haha, Yunzong, you can't say that to Auntie. Auntie is doing it for your own good. Besides, men should get married, and women should get married. He Tian followed. Li Yunzong was not young anymore. At the same time, He Tian really appreciates Li Yunzong's personality and hopes that he will find a good girl as soon as possible. Li Yunzong smiled bitterly and looked at Huo Yingzhe. Huo Yingzhe smiled and said, don't look at me, I think it's right. When I was your age, I had sons and daughters. A critical hit of 10,000 points. As soon as these words came out, Aunt Li glared even more angrily. Yes, you have to learn from Yingzhe, Aunt Li said angrily, I believed you before when you said you were busy with work and had no time. Now that the business is stable, no matter how busy you are, you still have some time. Why don't you go find it? Daughter-in-law, don't mention anything else, just pick any of the pretty girls in your shop. Upon hearing this, Li Yunzong quickly explained, Mom, those are all employees, don't talk nonsense. Besides, when you want to marry a wife now, you don't just find someone to marry and have children. At least you have to find someone who can talk. It's so casual. As long as it's good, I'll find a matchmaker. There are 3 matchmakers and 6 hires. We can't do much together, Aunt Li said, feeling that her son was unreliable and she had to take action. Mother, Li Yunzong was so worried that he didn't know what to say to his only mother. Seeing that the joke was on, He Tian made Li Yunzong blush and said with a smile, haha, Aunt Li, things are different now. When you got married before, no matter how good or bad you were, you would never get divorced in your life. But now we are living, if not, then get divorced, so before getting married, you still have to be cautious. After all, it is more important to be in love with each other, so you should take your time to find someone you like, who can talk to you intimately when you get home from work. It's better than anything else. If you find someone who is unreasonable, tired outside, makes trouble at home, is lazy and carefree, and makes the house uneasy, it's better not to marry her. Ah, Aunt Li was stunned. The hard-working old lady was frightened. If it is true as He Tian said, if she marries a bad wife, her son will suffer such a life in the future. Mom, What my sister-in-law said is true, Li Yunzong quickly added, I just want to find a like-minded girl. Living a good life is not about being beautiful, but she must be able to talk to her and be in love with her. Yes, that's true, Aunt Li said. Hey, your father is gone, and we are the only two left at home. I am so anxious, and I also hope that you will be well. You are older, so don't take it seriously, as good girls are, it was snatched away by someone else. Yes, Mom, I have written it down, Li Yunzong said with a smile. Seeing that his mother relented, he felt very happy. Mom, I will definitely do well this year. I will find a girl and get along well with her. Well, okay, I will believe you for once, Aunt Li smiled. By the way, Tian Tian, please help me see if there is someone suitable that I can accept. Although you can fall in love freely now, but introduction, it's also very reliable. Auntie, don't worry. If there is a suitable one, I will definitely keep it for Yunzong. He Tian Tian smiled. Whether it was because of Huo Yingji's relationship or because Li Yunzong himself was her partner, she hoped that Li Yunzong would be her partner. You can have a happy family. Aunt Li finally stopped worrying about Li Yunzong's marriage and talked to He Tian Tian about some common things. Aunt Li is a talkative and diligent aunt. I heard that He Tian Tian likes to eat pots, so I made a pot of soup myself and saved it for He Tian Tian and his family to eat at night. In the afternoon, Li Yunzong took Aunt Li to say goodbye and left. He Tian Tian lamented, oh, how pitiful the hearts of parents are. Aunt Li hopes that her son can start a family as soon as possible, and she can have grandchildren and granddaughters as soon as possible. Yeah, Huo Yingji smiled, but it's probably going to be soon. What's coming soon? He Tian Tian asked, is it Li Yunzong's marriage? Yeah, Li Yunzong didn't have time or money before, but now he has time and money, and the boy is pretty good looking. The other half of the matter will fall into place. Huo Yingji smiled, only explaining the feasibility from the surface, and there is no reason to tell the truth. That's right, He Tian nodded, agreeing with Huo Yingji's words. Unexpectedly, within 2 months, Li Yunzong came over. Brother, sister-in-law, I like a girl. Li Yunzong was too embarrassed to pursue her, so he came to He Tian Tian for help. He Tian Tian was stunned, oh my god, so fast. Ah, He Tian Tian was confused, which girl is she from? What does she do? As the old saying goes, when fate comes, nothing can stop it. Originally, He Tian Tian wanted to be a matchmaker and help Li Yunzong with his affairs. I didn't expect that he would find it so quickly. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 942. 940. Under He Tianation's curious eyes, although Li Yunzong was shy, he still insisted on speaking out his thoughts. She's also a girl from Yanjing and a teacher, Li Yunzong replied. Some time ago, my mother twisted her foot when she went out for a walk. She sat on the ground for a long time. Only then did a girl see her. She helped my mother to the hospital and even brought her to the hospital. My mother sent her back. I met this girl at that time. After my mother recovered, we went to thank the girl and found that she lived not far from my home. Ah, He Tian Tian was stunned. Auntie fell down. Are you okay? It's okay, I just sprained my foot, no bones were injured, Li Yunzong explained. Thank you, sister-in-law, for your concern. You're not doing this right. My aunt's foot is sprained, and you didn't even tell me so that I could take care of her, He Tian Tian said angrily. You can't do this again. If you have anything to say to me. Yes, sister-in-law. Li Yunzong saw that his sister-in-law had many children at home and was so busy, so he was embarrassed to bother her. But from his sister-in-law's anger, he felt concerned. By the way, what's the girl's name? He Tian Tian asked. Let me help you find out how this girl is. If she's good, you can pursue her directly. Li Yunzong's eyes lit up after hearing this, and he nodded and said, her name is Wang Yuan Yuan. Ah, He Tian was stunned again. Your name is Wang Yuan? Is she a teacher from our neighborhood again? Yes, Li Yunzong said, he is a kindergarten teacher. He Tian couldn't help but smile after hearing this, and said, oh my, we are so destined to meet each other thousands of miles away. Wang Yuan is Ruwa and Ruiman's kindergarten teacher. She is a very patient and caring girl. Both of my children are. I like teacher Wang very much. I heard that she was a teacher, so I asked. Later I found out that Yuan worked in a kindergarten, and I asked her if she knew Ruwa and Ruiman. Li Yunzong said, she said that Huo Ruwa and Huo Ruiman were students in her class. Yes, Wang Yuan is a very good character and a good girl. He Tian said, if you like her, you can pursue her. Li Yunzong nodded and said, thank you, sister-in-law. Originally, my mother was going to come over and ask you to do matchmaking, but I always feel that it is better to fall in love freely first and then go to the matchmaking. This will prevent my hair shaving stall from getting too hot. Haha, go for it boldly. He Tian smiled, you are so handsome, you will definitely be able to catch a good girl. Yeah, I think so too. He Tian smiled, and then took out some coupons from the drawer. Yunzong, these are dim sum coupons for Sanfan Kiao. You can take some and buy them at the shop often. Some little girls like to eat these. Okay, I will give the coupons to her directly when the time comes. Li Yunzong said with a smile, thinking it would be better to give them all to Wang Yuan. Haha, He Tian smiled, Yunzong, this is not how you pursue girls. You have to contact Wang Yuan as much as possible. It's not that my sister-in-law is reluctant to part with these snack coupons, but you gave them away at once. What reason will you use next time? How about looking for Teacher Wang? You usually wait on the way to Teacher Wang with snacks in your hand. If she is willing to get along with you, she will not refuse. Will sternly refuse. Li Yunzong's eyes lit up after hearing this, and he nodded repeatedly, thank you, sister-in-law, for reminding me. Go ahead, the little girl will refuse at first, but that's just politeness, you can't take it seriously for the time being. He Tian reminded, worried that Li Yunzong, a person who has never been in love, really thinks that others are polite and just refuses. Yeah, Li Yunzong nodded, thank you, sister-in-law. When Huo Yingzhi came back in the evening, He Tian told Huo Yingzhi about Li Yunzong. Huo Yingzhi smiled and said, that's good. That teacher Wang is, as her name suggests, round and round. She's a nice girl. Huo Yingzhi had always sent his children to school before. He also knew Mr. Wang and had an impression of that girl. Yeah, but Li Yunzong is not bad. Now he has a career, a house, a car, and good conditions. He Tian said, even if teacher Wang's parents are critical of Li Yunzong's status as a foreigner, Li Yunzong is a motivated person. It shouldn't be a problem for him. That's natural. Huo Yingzhi smiled, besides, how many locals are there in Yanjing? Many of our ancestors moved here. The couple discussed Li Yunzong's marriage, and unknowingly the topic came to Qi Zhenmin. Hey, Zhenmin, Tang Qian probably got together. He Tian sighed and said, even though she played an unscrupulous role in the middle, she did not stop the relationship between the two. Huo Yingzhi smiled and said, okay, let's not worry about other people's affairs. Zhenmin is not a little girl without her own opinions, so it is not easy for Tang Qian to chase Zhenmin. Haha, that's true. He Tian smiled and said, ignore them, it all depends on fate. Yes, that's it. Huo Yingzhi said, come on, my husband is home. You keep talking about others and don't even care about your husband. Huh, He Tian was stunned, and then kissed her husband's face, which was slightly turned over. Thank you for your hard work, husband. That's about right. Huo Yingzhi said with a smile, now the work has stabilized. We have received a total of 4 key materials. Results of 2 of them will be available tomorrow, and the results of the remaining 2 are expected to be available within a week. That's great, He Tian smiled, by the way, congratulations. Same joy, Huo Yingzhi said with a smile, by the way, there is a bottle of peach blossom wine at home, let's have a drink. Seeing that Huo Yingzhi was in high spirits, He Tian was also very happy and said, okay, I'll get it. There's no food in the kitchen, what should I do? Huo Yingzhi's eyes fell on the snack box beside the table and said, aren't there still snacks? Well, I also have several kinds of snacks here, including salty, salt and pepper, sweet and so on. He Tian said, it's best to go with peach blossom wine. He Tian got snacks, and Huo Yingzhi went to get peach blossom wine. The couple had a drink and snacks, talking about their lives and things they encountered at work. This was a rare time for them to spend time together, and they enjoyed the quietness and warmth very much.